So you go down the street, you see the Joe Blow allergy clinic, you walk in, they give you some type of medication and you go home. And that's just pretty much as far as it goes in regards to treating allergies. And, they have different options. I know some people get shots. I know some people do nasal spray. Some people do antihistamines orally. So there are several options, but they all have the same goal, which is really just a Band-Aid. It's trying to block receptor sites, maybe decrease inflammation somehow from a drug perspective, but it's not addressing the root cause of the allergies in the first place. And I'm not going to speak for you, but my opinion is that allergies are a side effect. Humans have been outside for forever, and now all of a sudden we can't tolerate the outdoors and we need drugs to manage us to handle the outdoors. That's not natural. That's not primal. That's not ancestral. I don't think that there is an ancestral allergy. I think this is a new problem based on the toxicity of the planet, but also other issues that we'll get into in regards to the internal health of the human host.
100%. So if we talk about some of the mechanisms of how these medications work, I think that's helpful, right? And so there's a bunch of ones that are out there. So you have things like Allegra, right? Or Claritin. I think they work the same way. They're kind of like an H1 receptor. They're like an antihistamine. They antagonize the H1 receptor. So they're like an antihistamine, right? I think Peptid AC also works, I think, on the H2. So you have antihistamine ones, whether they're Allegra or Claritin. They tend to be more on the antihistamine side. Zyrtec, similar as well. They're a H1 blocker. They block the H1 receptor as well. And so you have a lot of the antihistamines. The problem with those is they come with a lot of side effects like drowsiness, right? Drowsiness, brain fog, cognitive, low energy. So not good if you have to perform, you have to function, you have young kids, right? Most people have to be on it, at 100% to be functioning in the daily life. So that doesn't really work too well. And then you have more advanced things like, I want to say Singulair would be one that would be more antihistamine based. More steroid based, more corticosteroid based. So there's ones that are more steroid based, or people that have, more significant allergies, whether it's throat closing or needing an inhaler. Of course, then you have things like albuterol that may get worse, right? And so these are, the steroids tend to get used when there's more advanced allergies. And then, of course, you have some of the allergy shots, which tend to be a little bit more natural, which tend to be exposing yourself a little bit to the allergen as a way of kind of building up an immune response that's not going to be over responsive come that allergy season. Those are some of the big things off the bat. Anything you want to highlight, Evan?
Well, I want to highlight the fact that billions and billions of dollars are being spent per year globally with people being on these medications. And it really gives them a false sense of security, meaning, yeah, it might help the symptoms, but this is not getting to why someone is unhealthy in the first place. And I could go down a whole rabbit hole with this, but I mean, just because you get a shot for something and now you feel a little bit safer, well, you didn't address the underlying issue with your histamine intolerance in the first place. Is there a gut issue going on? Is there some sort of imbalance with your gut bacteria? You have a lot of histamine producing bacteria. Are you eating a lot of food allergens? And your bucket is already so full of allergens that now the outdoor flower blooming puts you over the edge. See, if everything else in your quote bucket is not filled, you should be able to tolerate the outdoor environment just fine. And so I think we should mention mast cell issues. Mast cell activation could be triggered by mold. It could be triggered by Lyme. It could be triggered by co-infections like Bartonella and Babesia. And you're definitely going to have a lot more issues. Now, I'm not somebody that would say I have outdoor allergies, but I have felt a little different with everything blooming. And I'm just doing my herbal antihistamines to help, which we'll get into. But I know that there was an underlying trigger because for my whole life, 30 plus years, I haven't had allergies. And now I feel a little weird, a little spacey when everything's blooming. So now I'm like, oh, okay, my bucket's full from these other things. So all I'm saying is, I just want people to really focus on the whole picture of their whole health. And if you have allergies, that's just the warning light or the check engine light on your dashboard. But there's probably something else under the hood going on that you should address, because there might be other issues that are downstream that you don't even realize are related, like allergies and diarrhea, allergies and constipation, allergies and insomnia, allergies and anxiety and panic attacks and heart palpitations and blood pressure issues and skin issues. I mean, we could go on and on about how allergies is just one piece of this whole puzzle.
Yeah, 100%.